Take your chocolate cake today, Dr. Bresson?
No, I just got a good medicine.
Oh.
But it's tempting. It's very tempting.
What page are we going for?
Page Lamed. All right. This Farbrengen we give given Parshas Bechukosei, Tafshin Yud Aleph. Right to it. As Chos Parshas Bechukosei in the brachas. The beginning of this week's parsha is all blessings. Since the beginning of everything is the predominant, the main part of that thing, beginning is the main part. Therefore, you should always look at the beginning of things. So it comes out that the main subject of this parsha is brachas, which is really the opposite of the way people think about this parsha. People ask them, what's this parsha about? They'll say it's the opposite of brachas. But that's not how the correct way of looking at it. To understand what the main thing of something is, look at the beginning. The beginning is brachas. This is even sweeter. This idea that we're saying that the main subject of the parsha is brachas, even though a good chunk of it talks about the opposite of brachas, but this idea is actually not only referring to the beginning of the parsha, but even further on, where it talks about the opposite of brachas. The Alter Rebbe explains that even those subjects are really in emes, they're only brachas, just like the beginning of the parsha. Right. Right.
It's seemingly, it's not.
Right. Only seemingly not brachas, but the emes they are only brachas. Einem rak brachas. And the Torah introduces the condition to receiving all these brachas, and the condition is if you will go in my chukim. And Rashi says that refers to working hard in studying Torah. As we learned earlier this week, the reason why Rashi doesn't say simply talk about mitzvahs is because it says later on in the pasuk, and you'll guard my mitzvahs. So mitzvahs is already discussed. What it's referring to? It's referring to a choik is something super rational. It's talking about being a super rational devotion to the study of Torah, not just studying Torah, but amelumater. When you work hard in the study of Torah, that's the key to bring all these amazing brachas. Hashem's telling us, if you will keep these mitzvahs, that itself empowers us to make this happen. I'm not sure if that was referring to the same thing that the Alter Rebbe says about this first verse. Alter Rebbe says this verse is Hashem empowering us. It's a request. Hashem is asking us, please, go on my mitzvahs. I want to give you brachas. I want good things to happen to you. So please do this. Please work hard in the study of Torah. So Hashem's request itself empowers us. And through doing this, studying Torah in a way of amelum Torah, working hard in the study of Torah, this brings us to the brachas that the Torah continues and discusses. I'll give you rain in its season, and the main bracha, Hashem says, I'll lead you upright to the land of Eretz Yisrael, bring to the becoming a Mashiach. So after the Rebbe said his first talk, then the Rebbe said a mimer, and then after the mimer, let's go to Es Gimel. It says in the mimer, the Rebbe just recited this Farbrengen, that when Mashiach will come, there will be the revelation of Hashem's essence. Something which is far beyond all the worlds. Compared to Hashem's essence, there's no higher and there's no lower. Everything is equal. So there won't be a need to do what Chassidus says is usually necessary to receive light of Hashem. For example, Shavuos is coming. What do you need to do to receive light of Shavuos? You need to prepare. You do Tzfir Eimer, and you refine yourself. As the Jewish people needed to then when they left Egypt, they weren't ready to receive the Torah. They had to there wasn't a lot of refinement that was done by them being in Egypt, but that needed to be revealed. And that was through the 9 days of preparation for giving the Torah, they refined themselves. So you learn about the Yontif, you prepare yourself again, and that makes you a vessel for it. When Mashiach will come, since revelation will come from the essence of Hashem, compared to Hashem's essence, the highest world, the lowest worlds are all equal. Don't be in need to refine ourselves to receive it. When the divine flow is from a level of godliness, that has some connection to creation, so then to bring it down, you need to be somewhat worthy. So as worthy as you are, as refined as you are, as much of a receptacle as you are, that's the kind of divine flow you'll be able to receive. And therefore, if you're talking about a lower level of godliness which is connected to creation somewhat, so then there's a need for us to do something. But regarding the essence of Hashem that will be revealed, Mashiach will come. At that level, there's no one who could possibly say they're ready for it, and there's no way to be ready for it. According to Hashem's essence, everything is it's beyond creation completely. So there was a chassid who said, who was it? I don't remember who it was. He said like this: "Darten will edel werd nicht bring nicht nenter grob macht nicht weiter." At a level of godliness where being refined doesn't get you closer, being coarse doesn't make you farther. Talking about God's essence. So if edel doesn't make you nanter, then grob doesn't make you farther. If edel, being more refined, doesn't get you more in touch with the essence of Hashem, because the essence of Hashem is beyond all creation. So being coarse.
It's trying to say that after that level, there's no able all course. He's saying reason.
Hashem's essence is beyond Atzilus, and Atzilus in this world are the same compared to Hashem's essence.
So then it's not good.
So no need to refine, right? No need for refinement. So on that subject, there's a story of a Mordechai Haradok. A chassid Mordechai Haradok, Nila Acher Kam Kam Shem Shahir B'Leili Zochim B'Pilatim. Ashav Kibel Brachim Mevorchim Tzadik Tzikon Starim Shivoli Ben Zochim. Tzil Lekol B'Shem Mordechai. Al Shmei Yim Yisrael B'Chaim Chesel Amedein. Mordechai Nala Yim Nichbedei Av Chasim Shal Amon Amtzoy. Amon Amtzoy Nimnoli Yis Mashpia B'Yer Haradok. Mordechai of Haradok, his parents wanted a child for many years, didn't have a child. They asked a certain tzaddik named Mordechai for a bracha. This Mordechai, I'm not sure if this is the same Mordechai that we'll see. Yeah. This is a chassid of the Baal Shem Tov named Mordechai. The whole book of the previous Rebbe, letter, the previous Rebbe sent there to Chaimushka, the making chassidim, that's all about the same Mordechai. So Mordechai, that tzaddik who was a chassid of the Baal Shem Tov, he gave a blessing to the parents of this Mordechai that we're talking about, the middle Rebbe's chassid. His name was Mordechai, and he told the parents, "I'll give you a bracha to name, to have a child, but name your child after me." This, so in other words, a chassid of Baal Shem Tov is asking Chassidim of the middle Rebbe to name their child after him, and indeed they had a child, and they named him Mordechai, and their middle Rebbe appointed him to be the mentor, the Chassidic mentor, the mashpia of the city of Haradok. Maimar Musker. Parenthetically, because Mordechai Haradok, B'Shem Baal Shem Tov, Shamash P'til Maila Alfei Shanim, Leil Lamatos Hashvaguf Tilasi Teva Gul Gashish Rav Hapnochnis. This is a famous Mordechai who was quoted in Hayom Yom on the 5th of Iyar. We said in the Baal Shem Tov that an neshama waits for thousands of years to come to this world. And why is it waiting? It's waiting to come into a body in order to be able to do a Jew a favor of a Gashmis, and especially do a Jew a favor, Beruchnis, to do a spiritual favor. The Shama Masyagas Matar Techaf Guf Meshachim Shmeinu Shana De Lasi to Gashmis Frab Beruchnis. And Shama, as the song goes, wears and tears. The Shama is Matar Techaf. The Shama suffers in a body for 70 or 80 years to do one Jew a favor of a Gashmis, and especially do a Jew a favor, a spiritual favor. Never said someone visited me for in other words, for a private audience with the Rebbe, and the guy complained to the Rebbe and says, "I don't see any that I have accomplished anything." The Rebbe said to him, he told the Rebbe, I can make a calculation. What happened on this day, what happened on that day, and I could show you that I didn't do anything. I haven't accomplished anything. I don't come in the Shema Yeredis. If the soul descends to a body to do one person a favor, a physical favor, a spiritual favor, even to one Jew, so you're in a place where there are many Jews. How much more so is there a point in your neshama being here? And furthermore, even if you're in a place where there are no Jews, when a non-Jew sees how you behave regarding how you keep Shabbos and how you keep tefillin and how you're steadfast to your devotion to Hashem, that causes the non-Jew to withhold one day from doing something not nice to a Jew. So when someone's saying to the Rebbe that, I read this wrong. The guy told the Rebbe, I'm not accomplishing anything. And he's saying to the Rebbe, I only did this, what I did today, this, what I did the other day. And the Rebbe's commenting on this and saying, what are you talking about? Well, Shanda says that thank you very much. The Shanda says that Hashem comes to the world to do a person a favor one time. So if you see that there are many Jews, of course you're accomplishing amazing things. And even if there are no Jews, still your influence on the non-Jew will cause the non-Jew to behave better towards Jews. Let's go back to the story of Mevorchim. One time, the famous tzaddik Mevorchim visited Haradak. On the one hand, Mordechai had his Rebbe. He was a chas of the Mittler Rebbe. So he knew that, I'm not, he wasn't feeling that he needs another Rebbe. He has his Rebbe. On the other hand, since he was a Chabadnik, in other words, since he was smart and understood the value of the occasion, he didn't want to lose that opportunity of meeting someone who they said about him, he's a tzaddik. Someone whose body is pure and holy from birth, especially because this tzaddik was also the mechut in the Mittler Rebbe. The Mittler Rebbe and this Mevorchim Shnabler, they both were parents of a groom and bride. They were related by marriage. They're mechutanim. And so after he thought about this, and this is his conclusion, he decided, I'm going to visit this Mevorchim. He's in town. The Mevorchim Shnabler is in town. I'm going to go, and I will visit him. When the Mordechai of Haradak, this chassid, went to visit the Mordechai of Chernobyl, so the Mordechai was speaking about tzaddikim. And he said, tzaddikim don't need to do any service of Hashem. They don't need to refine themselves. When Mordechai of Haradak heard this, he says, even tzaddikim need to refine themselves. Everyone needs to serve Hashem. No such thing as someone does not need to serve Hashem. When the when Mordechai of Haradak saw that the tzaddik is not exactly appreciating his criticism of his words, so Mordechai of Haradak added something. It says in the Torah that when God made the world, it says Asher bar Elokim lasis. All the Torah is describing all the things that God created to do. All the things that God created, lasis to do. So the Gemara says, what does it mean God created them? God created everything in the world to do. Gemara says lasakin. Everything in the world needs to have a tikkun. So Mordechai of Haradak told the Mevorchim Chernobyl, he said that even the godly energy which is within creation also needs to have a tikkun. Not just the creations, but Bar Elokim, even the godly energy in creation also needs a tikkun. Tikkun means to be rectified, needs to be elevated, needs. So when Mordechai when the Mevorchim Chernobyl heard this, that even godliness needs to be rectified, even godliness needs to be elevated, the godly energy within creation also needs to be rectified somewhat. That made him feel better, and he wasn't upset anymore at this guy criticizing his work. So what this means for us is as follows. Even though Mashiach will come, there won't be a need to do a specific service of Hashem because there'll be a revelation of God's essence. And we're right now approaching Mamish Literally, we're up to the time of the Geula, and we're talking about how things will be when Mashiach will come. If Yirmiyah, although most of his prophecies were about the destruction of Beis Hamikdash, nevertheless, he also prophesies how the 10 tribes will return. So that's even in the time of Yirmiyah. How much more so now? We're close to the time of Mashiach. However, there is now before, and Mashiach comes, won't be a need to serve Hashem to rectify ourselves, to prepare for the revelation, because it's a revelation of God's essence. However, there it says, now we do need to serve Hashem. We need to remove all the concealments of godliness and all. And one of the main ways to remove the concealments, one of the main concealments that there are in this world is yeshus. Yeshus means this sense of self. And the way to remove the yeshus is through bittul. So there is yeshus, which is one of the greatest ways God hides himself is in ourselves, in our sense of self, our sense of self, and each person according to their opinion of themselves and their consideration for themselves and how self-absorbed they are. That, however self-absorbed we are, that's a big concealment of godliness. As the previous Rebbe said, I is a source of all evil. The fact that your opinion matters so much versus Hashem's opinion, or other needs of other people in your life, whatever. It's not a revelation of Hashem's truth. It's the opposite. The more self-absorbed we are, the more consumed there is. The more bittul we are, the more devoted we are to Hashem. The more self-abnegation we practice before Hashem. That's when we remove this concealment. So, although we're talking about Mashiach will come, don't be a need to remove the concealment of godliness, and don't be need to prepare for the revelation after Mashiach comes, because talking about a revelation of God's essence, however, now we do. Before Mashiach comes, there is a need to remove the concealment of godliness. And what kind of concealment is there? There's a major concealment is in this idea of self-centeredness. So to learn exactly how important it is to have this sense of devotion to Hashem and to remove this sense self-centeredness, we can learn a lesson from the Haftorah this week. The Haftorah this week says the famous verse, "Blessed is the man who trusts in God, and Hashem is his security." Before saying this, the verse says, "Cursed is man who trusts in man and puts his trust in flesh and blood, and removes his heart away from Hashem." So that's what the verse says. Chassidus explains that there are 4 different titles for man. There is Adam, Ish, Gever, and Enish. And these 4 titles for man are divided in 2 other categories, Adam and Ish. So Adam is a title that's used to describe a person who's intellectual. And generally, Adam refers to the godly soul. And the main ingredient of the godly soul is the intellect. Ish is a title of the emotions, and it refers mostly to the animal soul. The predominant makeup of the animal soul is emotions. And even the intellect in the animal soul is merely a tool of the emotions. Those are the 2 titles. Adam refers to the godly soul, the intellectual part of us, and Ish refers to the emotional part of us, the animal part of us. What are the 2 other titles? Gever and Enish. Gever and Enish are titles that describe the kind of Adam and Ish we have, the kind of, in quantity and quality, how much Adam, how much Ish do we have? Do we have a strong amount of intellect, a healthy amount of emotions, strong amount of emotions? Gever means that there is a powerful set of whether it's intellect or emotions. And Enish means that there's a weakness in one of those 2 areas. So when the verse says cursed is the Gever, Gever means strength. So cursed is a Gever, cursed is the man who trusts in man. What this means is the guy thinks that his Gever, that his strength is because of his godly soul, because of his intellect. And then the pasuk continues, and he says he puts flesh as his strength. Some basar's race says, what's my strength, my flesh? He thinks that his power, his strength is because of basar, because of his body. He has a refined body. So we read this verse. The verse begins by saying like this. The verse is saying, cursed is a person who trusts in man. What is he trusting in? What's man mean? Man means the godly soul. He's trusting in his godly soul. So Gever is saying, what's my strength? I'm the Gever. Gever means strength. What's my Gever? My Gever is Adam. My Gever is my godly soul. I'm doing good. I have a godly soul. That's his first mistake. Then he goes to a bigger mistake and he says, you know what my mistake is? You know what my strength is rather? My strength is my body is so refined and so pure. I don't need to do anything to rectify myself. My body is so elevated and pure. I am, I'm this walking gift to mankind kind of guy. Until he reaches a state, that's his first mistake and a second mistake. His first mistake is his self-entitlement by thinking I don't need to rectify myself at all. I have a neshama. His second mistake is well, maybe my body is refined. And this brings him to a third mistake as the verse continues and says, he removes his heart from God. What that means is that even regarding the physical things going on in his life, he says, it's my strength and my power that brought me all these things. So what's the advice for this guy? The advice for this guy is that even while he's at this high level, even though he has a high soul, he has a refined body, don't trust in yourself. Only trust in Hashem. As the pasuk says, as the next verse says, blessed is the man who trusts in God, and God is his security. And ask Hashem to help him. In the language of the conclusion of the Haftarah this week, heal me, God, and I'll be healed. Save me, and I'll be saved. That means that when the neshama descends to a body, and especially when it's among Gentiles, the neshama screams out to God and asks God to help him. That's what the end of this, the Haftarah is talking about. Not talking about a person being sick necessarily. The neshama is saying, Hashem, heal me. Hashem, help me. I'm in a body, animal, soul. So in short, we said so far is you got an issue with this self-centeredness, this animal. That's a problem. And even though Mashiach will come, there's no need to refine yourself. But now there's a concealment. You're dealing with the concealment of godliness. You got to get rid of that. And the way to get rid of that is by don't trust in yourself. Trust only in Hashem. Okay. In the end of the Farbrengen, or throughout the Farbrengen, the Rebbe spoke to one of the people by the Farbrengen who was in the army. The Rebbe said, the previous Rebbe, the Rebbe has the power to make, even out of a piece of wood, a chassid. A chassid is someone who does the will of the Rebbe. So automatically, someone who does the will of the Rebbe, no matter how he may look externally, he's a chassid. So a person may say that since I look at this way, and I'm among Gentiles, how can I be called a chassid? The truth is, by doing the will of the Rebbe makes you a chassid. Even though your appearance and even though your garments are different, the Rebbe makes you a chassid. And automatically, you're like the Rebbe himself, the way the Rebbe is wearing his royal garments, and the Rebbe's now royal garments is now vesting himself in simple clothing. In other words, like you're okay. So it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what's going around you. It doesn't matter who you're living with. Doing the will of the Rebbe makes you a chassid, and the Rebbe. And regarding doing the will of the Rebbe, there's a famous letter of the Rebbe to Jewish soldiers. In this letter, he writes, the previous Rebbe wrote a letter to Jewish soldiers in World War II, that all the events in a person's life, like going to the army, are decided by divine providence, and there's a goal that Hashem has for them, and it's connected to Torah mitzvahs. And even though externally it may seem that there's another reason for this, and that reason, that first of all, that apparent reason is only temporarily, but Torah mitzvahs are forever. And through the Torah mitzvahs, the Jewish people are bound with Hashem eternally. So automatically, you have to use this going to the army for the sake of Torah mitzvahs. And this is in addition to the Rebbe's instruction that every soldier should make an effort every day to put on tefillin, to say tehillim, to learn Chumash with Rashi, and to learn about faith in the discourses that were printed in English, etc. So by acting according to the will of the Rebbe, that will also add in your security. I'm sorry, maybe it says. I think they're saying the difference. I think every use would be tachin. Bitachon means trust in Hashem. So act according to the will of the Rebbe will also add in the certainty that Hashem will guard you even while you're at the front and will bring you back healthy and whole, and automatically will go with joy, as the previous Rebbe taught that soldiers, when they go out to war, they go out with a march of victory, and that makes them successful. Another version of this Farbrengen, this thing wasn't edited. Another version, the Rebbe mentioned to this soldier that he should look to do favors to the Jews there and even to the non-Jews there, that they should also see the way a Jew behaves, and that will affect them also, that they will act kinder to Jews. All right.